right, folks, come on in. It's your old pal CHH. It's a good day today because today we're talking about the new 4K release of one of the greatest sequels of all time, in my opinion. I'm talking about Robocop 2. Now, yes, I splurged. Call me. Go ahead. Go in the comments. I get it. Go in the comments. Hashtag CHH is a sucker. I get it. Like, I have my vices. One of my vices is Robocop 2. But before we even get into the review, I want to talk about something that I want people to realize that are big Robocop fans like me. If you are interested in RoboDoc, the creation of Robocop, that incredible documentary, might I recommend something? Now, in America, we had two good releases. We had a cool slipcover release, and then we had the steelbook release at Walmart. But if you're interested, this is the UK Blu-ray release. The reason I say get this one is because it has an exclusive second disc to this version that has a ton of bonus features, over an hour of bonus features. Meet the Makers, Robo Team Assemble, Major Firepower, Call to Action. So yeah, I'm so glad to have this version. So if you are a super fan, just saying, they have the overseas Blu-ray. It's got the most content possible. So all right, guys, Robocop 2. Let's talk about the release itself for a second. Yeah, I was really excited about this. Now, we're waiting for the announcement of Part 3, but people were telling me that Part 3 is in fact coming. I just need to hold my horses. I did an update a while back talking about the announcement of this, and people were kind of upset at me because I was a little harsh on the remake getting announced on 4K, which I haven't seen anybody post about that yet. Maybe some people will, but I'm not a fan. But I'm not going to be disrespectful. You guys are right. I don't need to keep running my mouth about it. But anyway, yeah, super excited about Part 2. When I think about when I think about action sci-fi movies, I look at RoboCop as one of the best. And when I think about sequels, you've got your Dream Warriors. You've got a ton of sequels, especially in the horror realm that you can look at as like incredible films. I think RoboCop 2 right here, guys, is quite possibly one of the best sequels of all time. It does every single thing right. It keeps a lot of the core characters from the first movie. You even have the main villain of Dan O'Herlihy, who is, Conal Cochran from Halloween 3 for all the super horror fanatics, and he's the old man that runs OCP, and they just kind of raise the stakes with this one. OCP is trying to take over all of Detroit. They're forcing the cops to try to go on strike. They're cutting their money 40%. They cut the pensions. They want to turn it into a super city that is all owned by OCP, which we kind of see materialize even further in Part 3. The stakes are higher, and you've got the villain of Kane, played by Tom Noonan, and then you've got this new drug that everybody's taking called Nuke, which is so funny the way they do it. They shoot it into their necks. But I'll tell you why Robocop 2, I think, is one of the perfect sequels. It retains all of that beauty of that splatterpunk that we saw in the first movie. If you remember in Part 1, one of the things that was this great factor of Part 1 was these quirky commercials. The 6000 SUX was so funny. That car, the 6000 sucks. But the commercials in Part 2 are some of the best. The opening one is great with the guy who is trying to steal the car, and it's that electro thing that knocks the guy out. The OCP, fax machine commercial is insane. It's so over-the-top dark humor, I can't help but love it. The reason, the one I'm talking about is it's a guy going, I was trying to get specs from Cleveland. It took me 2 days to get them. I lost the account. It's a commercial that's shown in the movie. The guy puts a gun to his head and shoots himself and then pans to a picture of his family and then goes, OCP, always have the best equipment. The commercials are better in 2, much less as good as 1, much less even being in there. So I look at RoboCop 2 as being one of the best sequels. I think it just does everything right. And the soundtrack is great too. You've got Babylon AD, which was a great hair band. The Kid Goes Wild is in here. Funny thing about The Kid Goes Wild, for the super fans, they'll know this. Sam Kinison has a part in the song. The famous comedian, one of the greatest comedians of all time, really. In the breakdown of The Kid Goes Wild, if you listen to the song, you hear him yelling during this breakdown part where he's like, I'm not going to run from the cops. It's so fun, and it's totally Sam Kinison. You got to check it out if you're not familiar. In terms of the slipcover, I got to say, I think some of you will understand why I broke down and got this and got the poster and everything. I mean, look at that. I don't think it's hard to understand why. That is incredible. Now, of course, you get the regular slip as well, which I always say I don't need 2 slips, but I could show you the slip or I could just show you the case. There's Robocop 2. I wish they would have given you alternate artwork on this, guys. They did not. Now, the alternate artwork I would have wanted was the teaser poster, which has like this stone wall with Robocop coming throughout it. They did not give that as an alternate. Sometimes they're doing alternates. Like on the Blob, they did alternate artwork, but I don't know why they didn't do that for this. But there you go, guys. The standard version will come with the slipcover of the poster, but this slipcover, guys, I couldn't help myself. I just thought that was beautiful. Here's the back shot of that with Robocop and Lois. You gotta love that. Yeah, the poster too. I'm gonna hang the poster on the wall, so I'm actually getting some use out of it. I want to say that was Devin Whitehead, but if I have that wrong, I'll put his name down here. But I'm pretty sure that's who it was. But anyway, yeah, very happy to have Robocop 2. I can't wait to get 3. These are movies I get a joy out of upgrading. I think Arrow did a perfect job with part 1, and we're gonna talk about this release right now. So let's get into the release itself of Robocop 2, the 4K. All right, guys. So on Robocop 2, this was a 2K scan from the Inner Positive. This was a good-looking release. I actually thought the slipcover art that they did for this was really good. Obviously, with this, we're getting a 4K scan from the camera negative, and in terms of the picture quality jump, very noticeable. This is so funny because I was going to talk about this in a future video, but I'll just give you a snippet of what I was going to say now. I don't think everything needs to go to 4K. For instance, Fletch came out from Kino Lorbe, and it was a 2K scan from the Inner Positive, and for that movie, that looks good enough. But for a movie like Robocop, very visual movie, I think you desperately need to see a movie like this in 4K. One of the things I took away the most from this 4K, guys, was really Robocop's armor. Like, watching this version on the 4K and the HDR and the Dolby Vision and everything, you really get to see how his armor has almost this purplish hue throughout the metal. So yeah, it really shined on here. Obviously, there is stuff about this movie that it doesn't matter what scan it is. All the commercials and stuff are made to look vintage, so it's not like that's going to look that much drastically better than the stuff that was on the Blu-ray version. But in terms of the movie, in terms of the coloring, everything about this was just fantastic. I would give the picture quality definitely a 9.5 out of 10. Just super happy with the picture quality. When it comes to the bonus features, let's go look at that real quick, and then we'll come back. All right, guys, we have Corporate Wars, the making of Robocop 2, Machine Parts, the FX of Robocop 2, Robo Fabricator, OCP Declassified, adapting Frank Miller's Robocop 2, trailer and TV spots, and, of course, image galleries. I wonder if anybody actually goes and watches those. So, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like I'd like to see new features from them, and I'm not defending Scream Factory totally in this manner. But the reality is they did a great job on the bonus features for this, so I understand how it's hard to put out new bonus features for stuff. I really do, especially when you make a great documentary, which is something Scream Factory doesn't do anymore. So at the very least, one positive I can think of is if we're getting 4Ks of the older releases Scream Factory put out, meaning this was probably like 2015 or 16, they were still doing incredible stuff like documentaries for the releases. But let's go look at the audio, because this is what I think was the shining thing for this release. All right, guys, so we got a 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio. We have a new MGM 2.0 stereo. I'll describe that more in a minute. We have the Laserdisc 2.0, which is great. We have a commentary with author CD supervisor Paul M. Salmon, commentary with the maker of RoboDoc, the creation of RoboCop miniseries. We have subtitles with English, which I always like that because I watch everything with subtitles. Really cool audio. I love the fact that they had that new MGM, but what I really love is that I'm a Laserdisc guy. I grew up watching Laserdiscs. I have my collection right there in this room. I enjoyed listening to this movie with Laserdisc audio. I love Laserdisc audio. That's one of the best things about the format, and I love it. I would say it's 90% as good as that MGM 2.0, but the MGM 2.0 just sounds like a slightly more robust, better version than that Laserdisc audio. So the MGM 2.0 on here is sensational. I think it's perfect for all of us soundbar people that don't have the big major setups audio-wise. I will be improving mine soon, but for now, I've got the soundbar set up. They actually do have Dolby Audio soundbars. I'm going to look into that more and look up some reasons why that may or may not be a good thing for me. But the MGM 2.0 on here was robust. The audio was very even and keeled. I never felt myself having to go up and down when the voices came in, which sometimes is a problem. But yeah, so the audio stuff on here was really good. That's where I think the home run is, guys. I'm a sucker for movies like Robocop 2, so I will splurge and buy extra posters and slips. We all have a vice. I don't mind. Hashtag CHH is a sucker, guys. But I gotta say, if you're a fan of Robocop 2, I really think you're going to dig this, guys. So thank you for watching. This is your old pal CHH saying one of the best sequels ever is Robocop 2. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.